filtering in, but we need to go ahead and get started. We're going to stay on time, so I'll call this meeting to order. Love to do that with my hammer. If you all stand and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Woo! Yay! Today is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you our Toastmaster of the day, Miss Jennifer Medley. Yay! All right, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Hello, this is my first time being your Toastmaster. I'm really excited. I hope I do everything correctly. You can critique me at the end. I would like to start, thank you, Susan, by introducing our all counter. Susan, would you like to tell everybody what the all counter's role is? Very good. Okay. So unnecessary words, filler words like and ah. Very good. I'm sure I'll get dinged. And then I would also like to introduce our grammarian for the word of the day, Miss Barbara Williams.
Hey. Happy Monday. Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much. The theme is summertime. Is that right? Yes. Well, the word of the day is fribble. It means to act foolish or in a frivolous manner. A sentence would be, he fribbled away one opportunity after another. Fribble, F-R-I-B-B-L-E.
Thank you, Barbara. Well, I fribbled away my opportunity to introduce the theme of the day, and Barbara did that for me. The theme is summertime. So I would also like to move on to introducing our Toastmaster Minute. Mr. Nathaniel Noble will take care of that for us today.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I got a call on Wednesday, and it was a call to ask me could I speak somewhere this weekend with 2 days' notice, and I had to come up with a 30-minute speech with 2 days' notice. That's not reality for a lot of us with speeches, but it may be our reality one day. And I thought of an approach. The way I came at it was if I could build a speech around one sentence, and I created a whole speech based on one, not an idea, but one sentence. Sometimes we come up with an idea, and it takes us a little while to develop an idea. The sentence I gave them as a group was, there are 3 zip codes in Little Rock that receive more released prisoners than all zip codes combined in the state of Arkansas. And I gave them those 3 zip codes. From that one sentence, I was able to back up to what these people had gone to jail for, the crime rate in those particular neighborhoods, and I was able to build all these little pieces off this one skeleton. So for you in the future, if you could build a speech, if you had to build one, if you could build it around one sentence, add pieces to that sentence, before you know it, you have a 20 or 30-minute speech built around one idea when it's necessary. And it worked out well, but like I said, I had to develop it in a couple of days, and I wasn't given much lead time. Just so in the future, if that becomes your problem or your issue, you can do the same.
Thank you, Nathaniel. I think that's a really great idea, and hopefully that's a problem that all of us will experience at some point in time. We get to be invited to speak to a group and make a difference in some lives, so that's great. I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the day, Miss Rachel Hulitt, and she is going to speak on her first speech, her icebreaker speech. And the title of her speech is, My Life is Like a Musical. And that also fits in with her love of summertime. She said that she loves the 1935 opera Porgy and Bess, the music to that. So this falls right into that category. So Rachel?
Good afternoon, everyone. The title of my icebreaker today is My Life is Like a Musical. Okay. The reason why I like to say that is because I have enjoyed music all of my life. As a curious little girl, I was once given to go on a trip to the orchestra. There I saw Peter and the Wolf, and it was I believe it's a Roman play by Sergei, I want to say his name correctly, Prokofiev. And by then, I was really excited about music. I listened to the oboes, and I heard the bassoons, and I heard the clarinets playing. I also heard the violins. So my sister started to play the violin, and of course, I wanted to play the violin. So I asked my parents, could I play the cello instead, because I didn't want to be just like her. I wanted to do something different. So I started playing the violin in the third grade. And then in the fifth grade, I became a member of the Mississippi Youth Symphony Orchestra. So every Saturday, I didn't have much time to fribble around. I had to go to practice, and every Saturday from 9 to 2 o'clock. So that was like really torturous, but I enjoyed it. And at that time, my favorite musical artists were Michael Jackson, Sandy Patty, if anyone remember her, the Pointer Sisters, Sister Sledge, and Amy Grant. This is me in middle school telling you more so about from the elementary theme, and I put it in so that I can remember, just remembering and reflecting back. That is a picture of me and my little orchestra that I was in. We had gone to Texas and performed, and that was like one of my first competitions. But I remember performing in middle school the Nutcracker, and remembering the ballet and everything, and also The King and I. And then I started getting more difficult pieces to play as far as Beethoven and Bach. In high school, I graduated. I was so happy. That's a picture of me and my sister at the bottom. We're at the bottom of the stairs, still continuing Saturday practices. I was a part of the Mississippi Youth Symphony Orchestra, the senior orchestra. That's when you got older. You could not be in there with the little kids. Didn't like being in there with the little kids. So I also became a part of a celestial string ensemble. What we did was go around Jackson, Mississippi, and we played for various groups, such as businesses. If you wanted to hire us, we would go to and play for you also, and I done that all the way up into college. And that was like a little side job that I had, that I could earn money by playing in the orchestra at your wedding. And I really enjoyed that because we got to eat for free. Also, along with the instrumental of the violin and everything, I learned how to participate in community service. Playing the violin had given me an opportunity to receive a scholarship. I also auditioned to be at the Jackson State University Symphony Orchestra, and I also had an academic scholarship, which took me professionally on into school. There, I performed the musical West Side Story, the theme musical, My Life is Like a Musical, and I continued with community service as well, and that sparked my interest to being a complete advocate for helping people in public service. These are like my favorite musicals and plays. I can recall seeing Cats on television, the way they moved, and was very intrigued by that. My best friend had a lot of information because her mom took her to New York to see the Phantom of the Opera. I watched that as well. The King and I, Macbeth, Carmen is one of my favorite musicals. Grease, for fun, and The Sound of Music. I have a little picture of them at the bottom. I remember being a teacher, a substitute teacher, and playing for the kids the musical Hello, Dolly, and also the Nutcracker, and more recent, the Dreamgirls. So I said that to ask you, can you recall the time or place where you were when you heard a movie or a play? Can you recall where you were in life by hearing a song? And do you have a favorite song? I do. A little bit more about myself. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. I am the third oldest of 12 siblings. We all are musical, and we have education. And it all started, just to think about it, it all started with Peter and the Wolf, me going as early as second grade in the elementary and listening to the orchestra sparked my interest in learning how to play the violin, well, really the cello, but my parents couldn't afford the violin, the cello, so I had to share with my sister. And I went on to major in biology and in education and have a background, have my master's degree in public health and biostatistics and epidemiology, and who knows? But the funny thing about it to me is that I played on the exact stage where it all started when I watched Peter and the Wolf. I can remember being raised up from what they call the orchestra pit, and being raised up to present with an orchestra, and I was really excited about that. I'm going to leave with this. Because I love music so much, Sebastian Bach, says the aim and the final end of all music should be none other than the glory of God and the refreshment of the soul. When I think about that, is that I always think about how music makes me feel. Maybe you should too.
Thank you, Rachel. That reminds me of spring break, your question about does music make you remember something special? I went to a friend's house and we listened to the Squeeze Singles CD, Annie Get Your Gun, if you ever heard that. And every time I hear that, I think about sugar cookies, the smell of sugar cookies. So thank you, that was great. Our speaker number 2 is Dewey, and he is working on speech number 5 from the Competent Communicator album. And his speech is titled, Can Blind Eyes See? Dewey?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Can blind eyes see? All of you know who've heard my previous speeches, the answer is yes, because my wife can now see. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I want to talk about 5 extraordinary blind people who can see without their eyes. The first one that I met, her name was Suzanne. I was in high school and she went to our church. We were at First Baptist Church, Little Rock, down at 12th and Louisiana. And to lay it out for you, they owned all the properties on both sides of Louisiana from 12th to 13th, the full city block, a lot of buildings on both sides. Suzanne would come with her blind cane and enter the Sipes building on Wednesday night where we always had our midweek meal. And it was fascinating to me that she would walk in and hang her cane on the coat rack and then go get her food and go eat. chit-chat with friends, walk from building to building, from one side of the street to the other, up and down the stairs, in and out of the sanctuary. Never touch her cane until she was ready to go home. Then she'd go get that blind cane off of the rack, and she'd go down the street walking back home. That always intrigued me because I knew she was blind. You could see from her eyes there was no sight there. And in talking to her one day, I asked her, how do you do it? She said, well, at first, I used my cane, and I counted my steps from building to building. I knew how many steps to the curb, how many steps across the street, how far to turn, how many steps to the stairway, how many steps to climb up, and then to make it to the seat that I would always sit in. Over the years, the counting became memorization. Then it became automatic. I found that I could actually do it without counting. And I could actually carry on conversations with the people as I walked from side to side, from building to building. And so for a person who didn't look at their eyes, they wouldn't even know that she was blind. The second person I want to talk about, his name is Adren. Y'all know Adren Duncan, distinguished Toastmaster. Adren, I'd like you to stand for a moment. Adrian sees by his sense of touch. I take him different places, my elbow. All he has to do is touch my elbow, and he can feel as I walk. I can turn, I can move, I can go up and down stairs, I can take him wherever that we need to go. I don't have to give him directions because he feels the muscles in my arm. He can tell from those slight movements in the muscles in my arm, they actually change as I turn, as I step, as I move to step up. He can feel that and know how to move from place to place. Adrian sees with his touch. His wife, Barbara, sees with her cane. She walks with her cane, moving from side to side, so that there's nothing in front of her like a dog or a little kid or a rock that might hinder her path. Her cane is her eyes, and she can see with it wherever she goes. She knows when we're ready to step off of a curb. So she sees with the extension of her eyes in her cane. Another woman that I met when I was in college, her name was Marilyn Ford. She could see with her sense of smell. When she would walk down the street, she would describe what she could smell. She knew when she was by the bakery because she could smell the bread baking. She knew that when she was walking by the car shop because she could smell the motor oil when they were working on the cars. And the most fascinating thing that she would say is that she would know when she was walking by the department store because she could smell the fabric. And she said, yes, for the trained nose, you can smell there's an odor in the fabric. Now, some people say that when a person loses their sight, the other senses kick in to take over. That's not the case. People exercise their senses in order to make up for their sight. But it takes work. It takes practice. It takes a lot of hard work. And it takes a lot of memorization. The fifth person and last person that I want to talk about today is my wife, Susan. Susan sees with her sense of hearing. It also helps that she has a photographic memory because she can meet someone, talk to them one time, carry on a conversation, and leave. A month later, we would be walking down through the store in Walmart, and she'll hear a voice, oh, that's so-and-so. We met them at such and such, and we did this and so with them, and that was right before they did such and such. And then she'll pause and say, Other than that, I don't know anything about them. But she recognizes people by their voices. If she's walking on the street, she could know when to cross the street because she could hear the sound of the cars as they move back and forth and know when the light was in her favor based on the sound, so she could safely walk across the street without sight when she was blind. Can blind eyes see? Yes. Suzanne used her mind to memorize the layout of the land. Adren uses his sense of touch to feel the muscles. Barbara used her cane as an extension of herself. Marilyn used her smell. Susan uses her sense of hearing. Can blind eyes see? Yes, they can. Madam Toastmaster.
All right, I don't know if I can fix this. Thank you, Dewey. That was a great speech, and I think you probably opened our eyes to a lot of things that we hadn't thought about before. So thank you. Our third speaker is Ms. Wanda Simon. She is presenting from the Advanced Manual Technical Presentation, The Proposal, and her speech title is Lend a Helping Hand. Wanda?
Donna Florinda Augustina is 33 years old. She is an artisan by trade, engaged in the preparation of women's aprons. She lives with her children, and she and her husband work in a shop with 3 machines, along with her 2 other employees. She has been making aprons for 10 years at her residence in Guatemala. Although her customer demand has grown, economic conditions that she has encountered have not allowed her to accumulate any working capital. For that reason, she turned to the Association ASDIR to solicit a loan with the intention of buying raw materials, in other words, fabric, and thus increase her sales. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. This is the loan that she got was a microloan, or otherwise referred to as microfinance. These are small loans that are mainly made to the poor. When you think about the poor, realize that only 1/3 of the world's population has access to a bank account. Now, in the United States, that's hard to believe, that there are people in the world who don't have access to a bank account. Only 1/3 have such luxury. In fact, in sub-Saharan Africa's poorest countries, less than 10% have an account at a financial institution. Next slide is a map of the world, of the percentage of population living on less than $1 a day. It's $1 US a day. The blue areas, like the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, under 2% live on less than $1 a day, so we're the rich people. The yellow and orange, like South America and Asia, and a couple of countries in Africa, they make about 6 to 40% of those people have less than $1 a day to spend. And the red and maroon colors, like you can see in India and Africa, as many as 80% live on less than $1 a day. The next map is similar, it's just backwards. It's the world population with access to finance. So the darker shades, like again the US, Australia, and Europe, almost everybody has access to a financial institution or a way to finance things. The yellow, like you see in Africa, only less than 20% of the households have access to a financial institution, a way to finance. Here we have a pyramid that shows how microfinance reaches the lower income levels. So at the very top of the pyramid, just the top little peak, is 100 million people who make greater than $20,000 a year. I know that doesn't include us because we're all state employees. But they are served by commercial banks. And so are some of the middle class people, the 1.7 billion people who make $1,500 to $20,000 a year. And credit unions also serve the lower middle class. At the bottom of the pyramid, you have the poor, or you have upper poor, middle, and the destitute. That's 4 billion people in the world. And microfinance can reach them. What is microfinance? Microfinance is small loans that organizations like Kiva, which is just one example of an organization that seeks out individuals, entrepreneurs in other countries that would benefit from having a loan to help their business. The Kiva.org, their motto is loans that change lives. Mission is to connect people through lending to alleviate poverty. They're headquartered in San Francisco, California, founded in 2005 by 2 people, the Flannerys. They have over 200 field partners. So the field partners are the boots on the ground that actually go out and find the people that need the loans, and they take the money that Kiva has brought in and they loan it to the individuals. They charge interest. Kiva does not charge interest. So you can donate some money to Kiva, and the field partners will take it and loan it to individuals. They will get a repayment back, and then you can get your principal back. You can either keep your principal or reinvest it. Other organizations, it's more of a donation that you don't get back, but in Kiva you can get it back. The total amount they have loaned to date is about $450 million, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what could be done. Average loan size, $408. Rose Athenio, a produce reseller in Uganda, says, "Today I'm a very respected woman in the community. I have come out of the crowd of women who are looked down upon due to the loan that I received. You have made me to be a champion out of nobody. Today I'm asking you to help people like Rose, who was helped by a microloan, to consider, I'm not asking you to consider Kiva, but go to Kiva.org, go to World Vision Micro, go to other organizations, and do some research on the availability of microloans, how they help people. These people are not able to go to the bank to get a loan. They probably have no credit history. They probably have no assets. So the field partners will go out and find those that will be most responsible for paying back, and in return they help their families, they help their communities by getting more jobs available, and they improve their children's lives. There are many more people that need this opportunity, as you can see on these pictures coming up on the slide. I just encourage you to research this topic. Are there any questions? Yes, Dave. Kiva takes in They're a nonprofit, so they take in money from the donors.
So it's all private.
Yes, private donations.
So,
100% goes to the loan.
So nothing goes.
That's what I understand from the reading. I can. How Kiva makes your money, I was kind of interested in that too, and I didn't quite find the answer to that. The repayment rate is about, it's in the 90s. 90%. I think that depends on the field partner. Because the field partners can set their own interest rates, which are quite high, and they can set the time period to pay it back. But it's usually a relatively short amount of time. Any other questions? Mainly, I found the farmers, the produce people. I didn't look at all the different people that were waiting for loans. That is something good that you can look up. Of course, you saw the chickens and fabric and just any kind of small business that you can think of.
Thank you, Wanda. Very interesting presentation. And now I would like to introduce our Table Topics Master, Mr. Adren Duncan.
I have a question for you. Most of you know much about to-do. There are several people in the room that is not or has not spoken yet. Would you give those 4 people something? Just give one of them, each one of them something.
I will.
Okay, 4 people. What color is this instrument? What color? Mostly black? Mostly black? Mostly black? Mostly white. So this is a white cane. So it's not a black cane, it's a white cane. So when you run into the individual that's got the chocolate, one of you stand up. I want the first volunteer willing to stand up. Who is that? Tell me your name and tell us something about a white cane. For the summertime, when you use a white cane, why a white cane in the summertime? One of you that received a chocolate, stand up and tell me something about the white cane you would have and use it in the summertime. Philip. All right. Yeah, good idea. Go ahead, Philip. Philip.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics. I think it actually came from the vision impaired community, that rule about not wearing white after Labor Day. Is that how that works?
Exactly. Right.
Is that where that came from? White goes with everything.
Right.
You can see, you could easily be seen with a cane like that in all types of weather, daylight, dark, everything in between. It's also something we've kind of become accustomed to seeing. If everyone who had a cane had whatever color they wanted, it might take the rest of us a little bit more time to figure out what is that cane for and what's happening here. If they're all mostly white, we immediately go to the situation and we know what that person's trying to do. And it helps to avoid distractions also if you know what the color white is referring to. That's about all I can come up with. Thank you.
Okay, great. Give me my hand. That's great. Give that young man a quarter. All right. That's very good. Now, he did not fribble. If you noticed, he did not fribble. Say, all right. So, select number 2.
Number 2, Tammy.
Tammy, stand up, please. Reflect without fribbling. Tell us about a white cane that you know from Dewey's presentation. Tell us about the white cane without fribbling. Tell us about the white cane that, example, go for it.
Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit because
go
I've
for it.
worked with people who are are sight impaired.
Right,
So I understand the white cane.
right.
And I understand, much like what Dewey said, that the white cane can be used to help you direct your steps, guide you about when you're going up and down various types of terrain. They can be used to make sure things are not in your way. They can also be used, as one of my students did, to trip other students when they bother you. So they are a defense mechanism in many, many ways.
Good. Give her a hand. Give her a quick. Okay, pick out number 3. Tell us number 3 real quick, like. Without fribbling, tell us about who can reflect about your experience with a white cane.
I have no idea on that.
Talk about doing.
May I request a help from someone? Answer this question. I have no idea on that one.
Okay, no problem.
Someone help me.
Yes, okay, the 4th person, help this young lady. 4th person, help this young lady with something.
Caleb, are you willing?
Yes,
How would I use a white cane?
yes. How would you? How could you? Yes, sir.
For style?
Right. Oh, hey, look at this. That's unique. Hey, give him a hand. Without fribble, he came up with style. All right. What style would you give him? Man? What style? Did everyone get a piece of chocolate that has spoken? If not, there's some extra pieces of candy. All right. Is there someone else that will speak in impromptu? Stand up. Tell us your name.
Dana. I am so sick of the squirrels in my backyard. I've been looking at pellet guns at Walmart.
Say what?
I've been looking at pellet guns at Walmart
Okay,
because I'm
good.
so sick of the squirrels in my
Okay.
backyard. They're eating all my feeders.
Good.
They're tearing up everything in my yard. They're trying to strip the figs from my fig tree. I've looked at the pellet guns, but you know, I hate to kill them, but maybe if I took a white cane and just whacked them really good, I could get rid of them.
Good job, man. All right. If someone else would like to have a piece of chocolate, we'll do that. Madam Toastmaster, did an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Right ahead. Thank you very much. It's a perfect day.
Perfect day, that's right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Entertaining as always. I appreciate that. I would like to introduce Dee Shirley to you today. She's our general evaluator. Come on up, Dee.
Hello everyone. Today we have 3 interesting speech. And before I give overall evaluation, I will start with the speech evaluator first. Let's see what they're gonna give the evaluation. Please welcome the first speech evaluator, Tammy.
I was evaluating Rachel. And Rachel, I love your musical. You are so enthusiastic about music and musicals. Brought back a lot of childhood memories of the many musicals that I was able to see and perform, or watch, more than anything else. Your eye contact seemed to stay right down on the first row or two. You never looked at me, and I wasn't sure if that was a personal thing or, what was going on there. Your behavior was very stiff and very harsh. Wasn't sure if you were afraid of me or afraid of everyone else in here. We are your friends, even if we don't act like it. Okay, so loosen up, enjoy your speaking. Very much so. And I think the biggest thing that I would have to say is we have a projector in the back, so we don't have to look this way to see our slides. Just look at the one in the back. But other than for that, I love the way you brought the audience in. I love the way that you got us to reflect and think about our own experiences. Overall, fantastic for a very first speech.
Thank you, Tammy. Did she do a good job? This is her first time to giving evaluation too. And next is Miss Q. Please welcome Miss Q.
Good afternoon, Madam Toastmaster, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Healthmasters, especially Dewey. Dewey, I enjoyed your speech. I really did. And I thought I learned a whole lot about how people can do stuff without seeing. You did an excellent job, but it's distracting when you won't be still. Make your movements meaningful. Walking back and forth. Where's he going now? What is he going to do now? Also, when we're using the microphone, we have to be mindful that we can hear you breathe. Other than that, I think you did an excellent job. You brought a lot of attention to the fact that blind eyes can indeed see. Great job.
And Miss Q is the first timer too. She did an excellent job. And evaluator number 2 is Philip Bordens.
Let's pretend like it's my first speech evaluation too. Can we do that? I am evaluating Wanda Simon's speech from the Advanced Manual, the Technical Presentations Manual. Good to have an advanced manual speech represented. Give us a little variety. I noticed, Wanda, that you started with an example, a real-life example, and a name and a face to give it the human side, to give the problem the human side, and then expanded that to show us the data and the numbers and the worldwide impact of what you're talking about. And then you moved on to the next level of showing us the organization Kiva and what they're doing and how they operate. And then after that, you got to the challenge for us of what you're asking us to do. That's a perfectly good approach to a speech like that. There's certainly nothing wrong with that structure. Still, a speech that's structured that way could benefit from a statement toward the beginning along the lines of, today I want to show you fill in the blank, something to whet our appetite. I think I speak for most of the audience in saying that we spent most of your speech time wondering whether your conclusion would be, here's the problem and something needs to be done about it, or here's the problem and here is the solution and how we can get involved. And we weren't quite sure where you were going with that till toward the end. This was a technical presentation. It wasn't a speech that calls for a lot of persuasion emotionally. And that's a valid way to structure your speech, especially for a technical presentation speech. I thought you did well in that type of speech. You had the data. You walked us through it in a way that made sense to everything. One thing that I noticed maybe for future growth in even a speech like this, when it's technical and when you're letting the facts speak for themselves and not using a lot of emotional tactics in your persuasive speaking, what tends to happen to vocal variety? To kind of turn into a flat line. And vocal variety is not just pitch variation. It's also varying your speaking rate, and what else? Volume. So even in a technical presentation, you can look for little ways to, as you practice your speech, look for little ways to keep all three of those a little bit varied so that when you actually get up and give your speech, you don't have to think about that. That's all second nature. You can think about your material. The only other thing that I noticed, I always learned something in Toastmasters, and I always enjoy doing so. I heard the acronym AFDIR, and I didn't really get what that stood for. I could have gone back to my desk knowing what that was today, and I think I missed that opportunity. But overall, good speech, and again, I appreciate the variety of what that speech brought to today's meeting, and I look forward to future speeches. Thank you.
Not sure about you guys, but for me, no one can give the evaluation better than Philip. And next time when I'm a speaker, I would like to request him to evaluate my speech. And next is a grammarian report. Please welcome Ms. Barbara.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think I was fribbling back there. I'm not sure. I was so enthused by the neophytes that, I learned that in Toastmasters, that I didn't write down how many times they used the word of the day. I know, strike me. Jennifer used it, Adren used it, I used it. How many times, I have no idea. I'm sorry. The grammar today was very interesting. Trying to keep up, what I'm trying to learn in Toastmasters is trying to fill a position and pay attention to the speakers. And I have not yet mastered that. But I do have a small report. Rachel, you said given to go on a trip. And I noticed that you used me and my sister, me and my group. I think it should have been my sister and I, or okay. And I'm not an English major, but being in Toastmasters, you learn these things. And then we have a lot of, when we're speaking, we get a little comfortable and we don't pronounce the entire word. Dewey, y'all know about them. Carry on conversation. So I think you could have probably said, instead of carrying on a conversation, you may have said, we had a conversation, or she had a conversation. And Wanda, and in the U.S., I think they've kind of gotten on to us as being older Toastmasters that we stopped using and buts, and I noticed you did a lot of those. Almost everybody, and you did a lot of percentages on some of the other things that you talked about. I was thinking maybe you could have given a percentage as far as the almost everybody. Said many more people. Could have been one or the other. And you're not learning this in Toastmasters. But overall, the grammar was good. And Miss Q, I'm sure there was something, but you were moving too much for me to really concentrate what you were doing. Madam General Evaluator.
And next is our timer report is Latonya.
Hello, everyone. Latanya Bynum here to give you the timer report. Good job today. The all-counter report given by Miss Susan was 13 seconds. Word of the day by Barbara, 33 seconds. Toastmaster minute was 1 minute and 15 seconds by Nathaniel. Speaker number 1, Rachel Hulitt, 7 minutes and 11 seconds. Dewey Magar, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Wanda Simon, 7 minutes and 56 seconds. And the question and answer section was 1 minute and 2 seconds. Philip with the table topics
1 minute and 1 second. Tammy Panels, 36 seconds. D. Shirley, 15 seconds. Caleb had a combination of 2, but it was 23 seconds. And Miss Dana Hill, 30 seconds. Evaluator number 1, Tammy evaluating Rachel, 1 minute and 17 seconds. Evaluator 2, Quinata evaluating Dewey, 1 minute and 7 seconds. Philip evaluating Wanda, 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And Miss Barbara's grammarian report was 2 minutes and 56 seconds. And my report is 1 minute and 33 seconds. Thank you.
Okay. For the meeting today, overall, I think it's wonderful. We start on time, and we have 3 microphones, and we have no problem about computer. Normally, we take a little bit time to set up the computer, but today we have no problem. And today I saw that we have the sign to tell about the time. Sometimes when people use the computer, we don't have the screen up here, and we don't have a sign, but today we have the sign. I think it's good. The only thing that I didn't see is the guest book over there. I'm not sure. And for the first timer of the Toastmaster, I think Jennifer did an excellent job today. She made things smooth, and I think it's a good meeting.
I think I agree with Dee. We had a great meeting today. There was no fribbling around. We're actually going to finish a few minutes early. And I thank everyone who stepped in to fill a role. Thank you very much for doing that. And I'll turn it over now to our president, Dana Hill.
Great meeting. I think a little bit of fribble, though, makes it fun, don't y'all? So I have a little point to make today. Barbara and Dave, thank you for complying with a memo to wear pink and black today so we could look alike. There was 3 of us that wore pink and black, and the rest of you, I don't know what happened.
And what about the lady in purple? She's wrong.
I especially liked Rachel's speech today because it gave me insight into something about her that I didn't know with a musician. Epidemiology is a very left brain kind of career. I do that. And yet, I like to paint, and I love music, and so she does that also with her music. That just means that we can be, a little crazy. Everybody can be a little crazy when you want to be. As far as the business, I'm going to mention that tomorrow is an officer meeting. There's an office or a room right beside my office. I'll send out directions to that for whoever doesn't know. We're meeting at 12 tomorrow for officers. Bring your lunch. Bring your own lunch, brown bag. We have a couple of guests today. Yes, question? We have a new member? Caleb, are you new? You're not a guest anymore?
I gave the application.
Yay, yay. Caleb, I'm sorry, what is your last name, sir?
Cromwell. C-R.
Cromwell? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Welcome. We are so glad. We have grown a lot in just a very short period of time. We also have a guest back in the back. Would you mind telling us your name and if you have anything to say? Great, wonderful. Wonderful. We'd love for you to sign our guest book that Jennifer has. Put that back there so we can get in contact with you, send you information, and come back all the time and join us. Yeah. Way to go, Barbara. Get him to join and we'll put you on that 1+1 list there. Do we have any other business? Yes, Philip?
I was going to mention
I definitely need that information. I believe I'll be able to come to that one. It's a great networking opportunity as well, and you meet people, I'm sure, from all over. So try to come if you can, and Philip will send that out to us. Also, go ahead. I'd like to see us, as we are introducing the speakers and we tell what speech they're doing for the day out of the manual, to also say what time that they're supposed to speak, and that will give the timer, because she was new today and she didn't realize that Wanda's was supposed to be an 8 to 10 minute speech. Yeah, it was on the thing. Yes, it was printed on the thing, but it also would help if we would just know as we're doing the Toastmaster part, or whoever's doing the introduction of the speaker. That way we can be sure they get the right time down. And because a lot of times we do practice for those times, I do. I time myself and go over it a few times and try to make sure that I'm staying within time, and if I have any props or anything that I'm able to use those in the time, so that'll be a good thing. Do we have any other business? We meet again next week on Monday, right here, same time, same station. Y'all come back here. Thank you.